Coming up on the Civil Discourse, a panel discussion on academic freedom in the face of an evolving landscape of diversity, equity, and inclusion with experts from throughout the United States.
So I will defend the right to be able to talk about those ideas, no matter how much I may disagree with them. And I think that is our role as academic freedom, as protectors of academic freedom, that we come to the defense of even ideas that we find reprehensible for the defense of being able to air them and debate them.
Hello and welcome to the Civil Discourse. I'm your host, Paula Morantz Cohen, Dean of the Pennoni Honors College at Drexel University, speaking to you from my office at Bentley Hall in West Philadelphia. The issue of academic freedom is a complicated and controversial one. Both sides of the political spectrum claim freedom as a value, but define what it means differently. Today, the Civil Discourse will take the form of a panel discussion addressing this subject. In the following recorded event, A Classroom Divided, Whose Academic Freedom is at Stake, we bring together 4 individuals whose different viewpoints on this issue are important in thinking about what academic freedom is and what role, if any, the university should play in defining it. Our panelists are Camille Foster, media commentator and civil liberties advocate speaking from California, Valerie Johnson, associate professor of political science and presidential diversity fellow at DePaul University in Chicago, Kenneth Montero, professor of both psychology and ethnic studies at San Francisco State University, and Amna Khalid, associate professor of history at Carleton College in Minnesota. The panel is moderated by Oyin Adedoyin, a reporting fellow at the Chronicle of Higher Education located in Washington, D.C. This event was held remotely as an installment of the Pennoni Panel Series, sponsored by the Pennoni Honors College of Drexel University.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm very excited to moderate this discussion about academic freedom, which we all know and have heard very much more often recently. So very interested in the topics and the different types of conversations that we're going to have today. Let's just start very simple. We throw around this term academic freedom a lot. To each of you, what does it mean?
Before I can frame my mind around this very provocative question, and provocative to me is a good thing. It gets the juices flowing. Are we talking about academic freedom as a privilege or a right? Because academic freedom doesn't exist in the Constitution. It's the First Amendment that exists in the Constitution. And academic freedom is a derivative of that right. And it implies that somehow academics, for a reason of our profession, need to be protected, which implies that some people are not afforded the freedom to speak in certain contexts. It also begs the question of, is the academy a free place to begin with, from which you can have academic freedom?
Well, I'll jump in. I like the way you framed that, Kenneth, because certainly today we have to ask the question, whether everyone is afforded academic freedom, even in institutional context. And that's why, of course, we're here today. For me, as a faculty member for 27 years teaching political science, courses on race, academic freedom is the right to teach, to research, to investigate, to discuss issues, in our respective academic fields. I think oftentimes when we talk about academic freedom, we kind of conflate it with free speech. And the two are different in some very fundamental ways. When we think of free speech, for example, we think about, sort of viewpoint neutrality, giving equal status to a marketplace of ideas. And therefore, free speech doesn't necessarily encompass or manifest any sense of competence. When I think of academic freedom, on the other hand, it doesn't afford equal status between ideas necessarily, but it is based on some sort of disciplinary standard and peer review that is judged, by a competent set of peers. And so academic freedom provides protection for speech that manifests some sort of disciplinary competence.